Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from the Chicago Tribune. Now this was published on November 2nd. It's written by Greg Jaffe and Dan Lamothe. Trump's election eve border mission puts the military in partisan crosshairs. No. You fucking legacy media hacks. You Democrat left, far left leftists. You're the ones that are making this political in regards to the troops. Border security and stopping people from just walking across it should be a bipartisan issue. Because without a secure border, you don't have a nation. Without a nation, you don't have elections, you don't have, a government, you don't have anything like that. That's the bottom line. But see, you people don't want to look at it that way because you want these people to come across so that you have illegals that will vote now and their children to do the voting when they, for the Democrats when they're born here. President Donald Trump's decision to send as many as 15,000 troops to the southern border has drawn sharp and unusual criticism from former military leaders who have called the deployment wasteful and have raised worries that the president might be using the military as a political tool to influence the midterm elections just days away. And what's funny is if you look, they're like deep state, neocon, neo-lib puppet types, or like, not necessarily puppets, but they're involved in that deep state crap. The military-industrial complex and such. They just want the status quo. They don't want the troops to actually, take a personal stance in this situation and vote their conscience maybe. They want, we got to keep the military impartial because, we don't want the troops to see that they might actually be doing something to better the country. I mean, that's where I'm kind of getting that's what I'm kind of getting for a feel on this, with the military officers that are gone against this. The military has all of a sudden been placed in a highly politicized environment regarding immigration. Retired Lieutenant General David Barno, who commanded U.S. forces in Afghanistan, said of the surge of troops to the border. Well, here's the thing, General David Barno. Stopping an invasion from a foreign group into the United States, is that or is that not a job of the United States military to handle? Where you would say yes to that, guess what? You just justify what's going on. Oh, wait a minute, it's not a state, though, that's doing it. It's not a foreign nation. Doesn't matter. Traditionally, the United States military has been sent after groups that have violated our sovereignty and territory that were not part of any nation state. This is no different. The blunt criticism of the mission to block what Trump contends is a threatening caravan of migrants encouraged by Democrats reflects the strain that his unusual presidency has put on one of America's most important norms, the tradition of an apolitical military. The tradition of an apolitical military. The military has traditionally voted Republican. But yet they're apolitical. And this caravan has definitely been encouraged by Democrats and others. I mean, I'm surprised you're not trying to spin that. I got to give you credit for that one. Our presidents have deployed forces to the border, but the timing of this deployment and the questionable need for it, with the caravan at least a month away from the border with Mexico and diminishing in size, have led many former military officers to deliver their harshest criticisms yet of Trump. Yeah, what's funny is some of the caravan already made it to the border. They leave that little fact out because, they're on trucks and shit. The first wave already had shown to the border. What, are they just supposed to let them through? Fuck you. I mean, come on now. Why don't you be honest here? Because they're not at least a month away. Not when they're getting rides, they're getting driven to one point. They spend a night or a few hours. They hop on another vehicle and then they're on their way again. And there's 4 caravans showing up, or planning to. And the timing of the deployment. You mean when some of them have already shown up? It's not questionable. And there's no question whether it's needed. It is. We want a secure border. We don't want these people just crossing, and then when they get busted 6 months, a year, 2 years later, go, I want asylum. It doesn't work like that. And these former military leaders, who gives a shit what they have to say? They were retired to be put out to pasture for a reason. I mean, I respect the military, but these guys should just learn if the military's not supposed to be political. Yet, all these guys are opening up their mouths and making it political by saying that it shouldn't be political. What that translates to is you should just let these future Democrat voters cross the border because them and their children, they're going to make the Democrats stay in power for a very long time. Because that's what that comes down to when they're saying the things that they are. It has also put Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, who has worked to keep the military out of politics, in a tough spot. Asked this week if the deployment was a political stunt, the former Marine general bristled. We don't do political stunts. Exactly. But you people are making it political. You people are making it political. You're the ones that are drawing the politics into this because you're going, well, he's going to secure the border. It's political. Because heaven forbid we actually secure the border for once. The president has cast the caravan as containing potential terrorists and other tough men who would particularly pose a threat to women, who are among the most sought-after voters in Tuesday's election. Wow. Reaching there, aren't you? You really are reaching there. Oh my God, terrorists and other tough men who particularly pose a threat to women. Terrorists particularly pose a threat to women? They pose a threat to everyone. If they pose a threat to women, then explain Orlando. It was all gay men. I mean, you people are pathetic. You really are. In fact, women and children are commonplace among the caravanners who have said they intend to seek legal asylum in the United States. There might be women, and there might be some children, but the overwhelming amount of them are men, which conveniently you take this little picture right down here and take something out of context and go, oh, look at the women and children in the back of a semi-trailer truck. Huh, they're walking here in a caravan, but yet you're using this picture to back you up, and they're getting pulled out of the back of an 18-wheeler. Doesn't exactly sell your case there, but you realize that the people that you're catering to, the liberal leftist Chicago type, are fucking dumb as stones. At least that's what you think. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you're talking about seeking asylum? Excuse me. Fat. She looks fat. She looks fat. All the women and children. Even these guys. I mean, this guy looks chubby. If they are seeking asylum, because they're refugees, never seen fat refugees before. Just saying. They usually end up, at the point that they're supposedly coming here because they really need to, they end up looking like Ethiopians with, the distended bellies and shit. Not fat, fed, and happy. Wearing, decent clothes. This is ridiculous. It really is. In a tweet Thursday, retired General Martin Dempsey, a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, called the border operation a wasteful deployment of overstretched soldiers and Marines. You mean securing the border is a wasteful deployment? Wow. Whatever happened to the days of when the United States military and those who served in it, like on the note of officers like this general, believed that the fact of the first duty of the United States military was to protect the sovereignty and borders of the United States from invaders, for one. You people are pathetic in the military that like this, General Dempsey here, all of you, that are saying this is a bad thing. And that it's making it political. You're the ones that are making it political because border security is bipartisan. You don't have a secure border. People can just walk across. You don't have a nation. And you took an oath to the Constitution and to defend the nation. Go figure. Dempsey's tweet echoed the opinion of several other senior military officers who weighed in on social media or in interviews. I see no threat requiring this kind of deployment, retired General Colin Powell, also a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, told the Washington Post. Well, of course Colin Powell, Uncle fucking Tom Deep State, would say that shit. Look at the shit that he lied about when he was fucking the Joint Chief, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Like, weapons of mass destruction and biological weapons and shit in Iraq. He'll say whatever's politically expedient. Retired Lieutenant General Jim Dubik, who oversaw the effort to build the Iraqi army and police, said that Trump's description of the migrant caravan as an invasion was wrong. A sizable portion of those coming are women and children, he said. No, a smaller portion. There are more men than there are women and fucking children. The majority of them are men. They've already taken guns and knives and rocks and other weapons, pipes and whatever else they could find to the Mexican police and military. This is ridiculous. And this is the last guy to open his fucking mouth. Because Jim Dubik did a shitty job reconstituting the Iraqi army and police forces. I believe he was criticized multiple occasions because of the job that he did. Now, let's roll him out because he's politically expedient. Because he's saying what we need military officers to be saying right now to push our bullshit of open borders and not securing them. This is ridiculous. Oh, God. The public criticism from former military officials raised questions about why the president has decided to dispatch such a large force on such a short notice days before a critical election. Because they're already showing up at the border. But you don't want to report on that fact that they've already been showing up at the border. Because you want to play this game of, oh, we'll convince the people that they're a month away and that this is useless. And that it's a political stunt. Because you're leaving facts out. And who cares if it's right before a critical election? Maybe helping to secure the border might help secure our elections. Because you won't have illegals jumping across right before and then going to a polling station, a vote, and somehow getting in a voting booth. The real issue is whether the military is being used for partisan political purpose, said Dubik, a senior fellow at the Institute for the Study of War. If that is the case, then I think such a use represents not just a wasteful deployment, but a dangerous one. It's dangerous because it will politicize the use of force in ways a democracy should avoid. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, a democracy meaning a nation. We're a democratic republic, number one. Number two, you mean it sets a bad precedent to send troops to the border to secure it? Huh. So I guess you're saying that we should just have open borders and let these fuckers cross. That's what you're kind of coming across as here. Sorry, Dubik, but that's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. Retired Colonel Paul Yingling, who commanded U.S. troops in Iraq, was blunter. Yeah, and which is why I'm going to call him Paul Dingaling. So Dingaling here said, the operation is a political stunt. He wrote for the military publication Task and Purpose. More than any other president in recent decades, Trump has spoken to the military as if it was part of his political base, rather than an apolitical defender of the nation. Oh, bullshit. Baby fucking Bush. Okay? Did the same fucking thing. You think people have short memories. Baby Bush went short of getting on his knees and starting to suck their dicks to get them to vote for him. So don't even. Obama tried to play that game, and the troops went, fuck you. Don't try to play that fucking game. People have memories. This is ridiculous shit here. And they are part of his political base. They are registered voters. He has a right to give his message to anyone and everyone that he sees fit or wants as a candidate running for that office. You just don't want the troops voting for him because, oh wait, he wants us out of wars. He doesn't want us in these endless bullshit police action fucking type operations that keep you in business working at your little friggin' job there. Fucking Dingaling. And the same with, oh God, I'm trying to think of his name, Dubik. You want to be able to write about shit, and you can't write about military stuff when the military is standing down. There isn't demand for your content. And I'm sure you've got other irons in the fire in regards to your background. And that doesn't work good for you business-wise. He placed several retired generals in his cabinet. Yeah, so have other presidents. In his speeches before military audience, at which presidents usually steer clear of politics and focus on foreign policy or praise troops for their sacrifice, Trump has bragged to the troops about the size of his electoral win. So what? Don't care. A lot of troops voted for him. He was thanking them for that, and you're taking it out of context. Holy shit, because that came out when he was thanking the troops for voting for him. We had a wonderful election, didn't we? He said in a speech at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa a few months after his inauguration. And I saw those numbers, and you liked me and I liked you. Yeah, so what? He's thanking them. He's saying, I noticed that you voted for me. I appreciate that. A president finally does something noble by recognizing the troops on the note of them voting their wishes on how they, who they want as president and that. Him thanking them for electing him to be president. Oh, that's a real bad fucking thing. Oh, you people are pathetic. You are so pathetic. Trump hit the same theme Thursday night at a rally in Missouri. The military is for us, he said. The vets are for us. The veterans are for all of us. Because overwhelmingly, the veterans support Trump. Heaven forbid he talks about veterans. They're no longer in the military, but you somehow still have a problem with that because that's politicizing the military by saying veterans support Trump. Veteran organizations back candidates all the time. I love how now all of a sudden this type of shit is a problem because it's Trump. And they act like, oh, it never happened before. It's disgusting. The deployment of troops to the border, however, pushed Trump and the White House into new territory and prompted an almost unprecedented response from former officers such as Dempsey, who had vowed to play an apolitical role. 2 years ago, in the midst of one of the most contentious presidential campaigns in the U.S. history, Dempsey criticized some of his fellow retired generals for picking a side in the bitter political fight. You mean publicly picking a side, instead of backroom handshakes and deals. You're about as apolitical, I bet, as Hillary fucking Clinton, or Obama, or Baby Bush. I mean, this is ridiculous. The military is not a political reprise, the retired chairman of the Joint Chiefs wrote in a letter to the Post. The service personnel and the public should not wonder about the political leanings and motivations of their military leaders, he said. They are people. They are human beings. They have a right to their own choices and opinions. You just don't like the fact that when a military leader comes out and gives their support for a candidate, the troops listen and the American public listens. And that scares you, because that can fuck a Democrat. It really can. It could fuck a Republican too, but it could fuck a Democrat more so than it could fuck a Republican. His description Thursday of the border mission as wasteful drew approval from many of his fellow generals, even if it prompted others to wonder if he and others had gone too far. Well, here's the thing. What do the troops say about it? They support this overwhelmingly, a lot of the troops. Go figure. While it is certainly fair to criticize the policy decision to send more troops to the border, I worry about characterizing the mission the way some have, said retired General Carter Ham, head of the Association of the United States Army, which advocates for the service's mission. The troops need to know they have our support, whether we agree with the deployment or not. I think this is one of the important lessons of Vietnam. Yes, exactly. See, you're talking about apolitical, but you don't give a shit about the troops. This is a guy who does. And I tip my hat to General Carter Ham. Because he understands that the troops, regardless, need to have the support. But you assholes on the left don't give a shit. In the recent past, the Pentagon has seemed to go out of its way to ensure that U.S. military operations did not bleed into domestic policies. U.S. soldiers and Marines were in place for an offensive against insurgents in the Iraqi city of Fallujah several weeks before the 2004 U.S. presidential election, but the assault was delayed until days later on November 7th. Wow. When military actions are put on hold in the name of politics, we know our nation is going down the fucking toilet. And that's 14 years ago that happened. Huh. That's what's fucked up. It could also be the fact that didn't want that to affect the election results in favor of the other party. But hey, if you're going to do something and you're waging a war, politics should become second to that. I'm just saying, if you're a nation at war, that's how things should work. Top Marine officers, including Mattis, who was then a major general, worried that launching a massive assault on a city could be viewed by partisans on both sides as an attempt to influence the electoral outcome. Only Spurgs do that, because they know if they lose, they've got this excuse. As Defense Secretary, Mattis has worked to insulate the military from the country's increasingly toxic political battles created by you shitbags in the legacy media, causing leftists to spurg out. You and Hollywood and all those types are the reason for that. Because, you know, anyone on the other side of the spectrum, we'd be over our shit like days after, and the country would have went back to normal. Well, Hillary would have fucking kilted it off into her own fucked up shit, but things would have returned to normal right before that, very shortly after the election. Unlike other secretaries, he refused early in the administration to lavish Trump with praise at a cabinet meeting. Last spring, in his remarks that went viral, he advised U.S. troops in Jordan to hold the line until our country gets back to understanding and respecting each other and showing it. Wow. You people don't get that. Let me translate it for you. He was saying the left are spurging fucking idiots. Give it time, they will calm down, and things will hopefully go back to normal. But you see, you had to prove them wrong because you're still friggin' flipping out like retarded morons that should be riding on a short little yellow bus, wearing hockey helmets, okay, mittens on your hands so you can't scratch your eyes out, strapped to chairs, the Silence of the Lamb mask. I mean, that's the type of spurging idiots you are. He was saying, wait until they calm down. You didn't calm down, though. Mattis' political independence has raised questions in the president's mind about his loyalty. I think he's sort of a Democrat, if you want to know the truth. Trump told CBS 60 Minutes recently. It hasn't. Oh, my God. He's done what the president has told him to do. You have to create something out of nowhere. Mattis has done what the president has ordered him to do, which is why he's in the position that he's in. Yet, you want to try to portray it like it's a totally different situation. This is why legacy media outlets like you, Chicago Tribune, you're not so bad because you just kind of flown under the radar. But it's why you guys are called fake news. It really is. This is ridiculous. It's not clear whether Mattis advised Trump to delay the border deployment or whether he was consulted about the president's decision. The president's the ultimate decision maker. Doesn't need to consult with Mattis, but okay. The president thinks out loud and will make statements about things he wants to do that haven't emerged out of discussion with his national security team, said Peter Feaver, a top a top official in George W. Bush's White House. Wow. You're asking George W. Bush people about things going on in the Trump White House. And you think it holds water. God, you are pathetic. You think because he worked in the Bush White House, the baby Bush White House, he has a clue about the Trump one. Wow. Favor speculated that Mattis likely would have advised Trump to delay the deployment until after the election to take politicization out of the equation. But that ship has sailed, Fever said. Given that we are, it's a little late for that. You're the ones making it political. Securing the border, which should be done regardless, and should be a bipartisan issue, is something that hasn't been done for a long time. Things have changed. There's a new man in charge. Deal with it. But see, you got to make everything fucking political and try to use this to go after Trump and say, look, he's using the troops to garner political favor. Wow. And even if there was this idea that he was doing it on a political motivation, who gives a shit? He's doing what he said he would do. He said he would secure the border. He's securing the border. Heaven forbid a president actually do what they say they're going to do. Instead, he said he would advise Mattis to make the best of a bad situation. Wow. A never Trump George W. type saying something like that, and you think it's going to hold any fucking weight. Wow. Trump made Mattis' job more difficult Thursday when, after a White House speech on immigration, he said that the U.S. troops should be authorized to open fire on unarmed migrants if they appear to pose a threat. When they throw rocks like they did at Mexico military and police, I consider it a rifle, Trump said. His remarks drew a torrent of criticism from former military officials. Wow, you just contradicted yourself in the same fucking paragraph. If you have a rock, you are armed. A bunch of these people had guns. A bunch of them had knives when they went after the Mexican police. A bunch of them had pipes and stuff too. That's armed. Unarmed would be empty hands. Your fists. Nothing more. You think people are fucking stupid because you literally say they're unarmed and then go and talk about how when they throw how Trump's talking about when they throw rocks like they did at Mexico military and police. You people are pathetic. That's being armed. But you don't want to admit that. It's pathetic here. You guys are really, really, really pathetic. Oh my God. Dempsey said the troops would ignore the order. In a tweet, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, who commanded the 1st Armored Division in Iraq, called it unlawful. No, it is lawful. Holy fucking shit. Dempsey said the troops would ignore the order. No, it's a lawful order. A lot of them are sick of this shit. They will follow the order. Mark Hertling doesn't know what he's talking about. Protecting the border. If someone is armed and they're attacking you, that's a lawful fucking order. These idiots think they can just spout that shit and go, well, I was in the military, so you just got to believe me. Because we got to have open borders. We got to just let these people in the country. We just got to let them walk all over us. There is no leader in the military who would allow a soldier to shoot an individual throwing a rock, he wrote. If I was in the military, I would. If they're going to throw rocks and they got guns and they got pipes, hell, use rubber bullets if you're so worried about it. On Friday, Trump backed away from that heated rhetoric. They won't have to fire, he said. What I don't want is these people throwing rocks. That isn't really backing down. Him saying they won't have to fire is not him backing down. He's just saying, I put that out there. They're now going to think twice, and they probably won't have to fire. But you got to twist it to him backing down. Sure. Trump hasn't backed down on shit, really. But yet, you want to play it like he did. Pathetic. Seriously. In fact, the military's rules... Oh, come on. Okay, sorry about that. In fact, the military's rules of engagement make it highly unlikely that U.S. troops could find themselves standing toe-to-toe with rock-throwing migrants. A spokesman for U.S. Northern Command, Mike Kurachek, said that while in the United States, troops can deploy with their weapons stored, but Mattis and the Air Force General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, who oversee the command, must authorize them to be armed. The president can give that order. He's the commander in fucking chief. Wow. This is some funny shit. That you actually think that makes a lick of sense. The commander in chief, the leader of the free world. If he wants them going there armed, they're armed. Don't matter what Mattis or Terrence O'Shaughnessy says. They have to follow their orders, which come from the commander-in-chief. An internal Pentagon document obtained by the Post said that lethal force was authorized in the operation only in situations where lesser means have failed or cannot be reasonably employed. Yeah, I mean, if they can't take the person down without shooting them, then shoot them. Active duty troops, which are functioning only in a support role, are also not permitted to arrest the migrants. You know what? That can easily be changed. I say it should. Let them arrest them. See, these people, fuck the immigration courts. They're an invading force. Put them in military courts. If you ask me, throw them in military courts at this point. You really want to put the fear of God in them, or in this case, the fear of Trump? Let them go in front of a military tribunal. Let them go shit in a bucket in Leavenworth before they get deported. You know? I think that would go over well, because when they get back, they'd be like, oh, you don't want to go to America, man. You go to America, you get arrested now. It's a military thing. They throw you in Leavenworth. You literally get a galvanized bucket to shit in. It's worse than living here. And that would stop the shit right away. Because they are an invading force. We're just supposed to just fucking take it, though. Because there's supposedly, overwhelmingly, women and children. When you go and you look at actual video footage, it's mostly men with some women scattered in and a few kids. It's vile what they're trying to pull on the American people here. And trying to claim that this is political and then that. And trying to play this game. But anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.